What if I told you that a single sentence could destroy every spark she ever felt for you? I'm not talking about some mystical sorcery or dark psychology mumbo-jumbo. This is raw, uncomfortable truth. Too many guys stumble over their own words, clueless that one wrong phrase can turn her warm smile into a cold shoulder. Today, I'm going to expose the ultimate conversational landmine, the exact thing you should never say if you want to keep her engaged and craving more. Listen up, because controversy is the name of the game. You can read every pickup artist blog and watch 100 YouTube lectures, but none of them will tell you the brutal reality. Women are wired to detect insecurity, neediness, and indecision faster than a hungry cheetah spots its prey. And the number one killer line? It's so innocent sounding that you'd never suspect it of murder. Yet when you drop these words in conversation, you might as well hand her the ignition key and watch your attraction combust. I've coached dozens of guys who thought they had it all figured out, until they uttered those four fatal words and sent everything crashing down. The look on her face changes in real time. Eyebrows snap together, her smile fades, and interest drains out like blood from a wound. You feel it too. An awkward silence, a shift in energy, and suddenly you're left scrambling, wondering where it all went wrong. But here's the good news. Once you know the exact phrase that wrecks your chances, avoiding it becomes child's play. You'll start spotting other subtle blunders that sabotage your game, and you'll learn how to flip the script, to say things that build attraction instead of destroying it. No more guessing games, no more awkward retractions, and definitely no more cringeworthy face-palming moments. So buckle up, gentlemen. This isn't a feel-good pep talk. It's a ruthless wake-up call. In the next sections, we'll break down why those four little words have so much power, how they play on her deepest fears, and what you should say instead to keep her hooked. Consider this your crash course in conversational minefield navigation, because once you utter that wrong line, there's no going back. Ready to stop blowing it and start commanding real attraction? Let's dive in. 1. What are we? The death sentence. Let's get straight to it. Asking a woman, "What are we?" is the fastest way to kill whatever attraction she felt for you. The moment those words leave your mouth, you flip the power dynamic. You're no longer the confident man she was intrigued by. You've just turned into the guy looking for approval, for validation, for emotional security. And guess what? That's not attractive. At all. You may think you're just trying to get clarity or express your feelings, but to her it sounds like pressure, like you're trying to lock her into something before she's even sure she wants it. It shows neediness, insecurity, and a fear of loss. And women don't fall for men who are afraid to lose them. They fall for men who know their worth, whether she stays or walks. Here's the truth most men refuse to hear. When you ask, "What are we?" you're actually asking, "Am I good enough?" You're handing her the pen and letting her write the definition of your relationship, while you just sit and wait for the verdict. That's not masculine energy. That's passive. That's approval seeking. And it makes her feel like she's the prize while you're just hoping to be chosen. Now let's put this into perspective. Imagine you've been seeing a girl for a few weeks. You're having fun, good vibes, some flirting, some intimacy. Then one night, over dinner, you lean in and say, "So, what are we?" Her body stiffens. Her eyes flicker. She gives a half smile and says, "I'm just not sure yet." Boom. Game over. You just lost all the mystery, all the edge, all the tension that made her interested in the first place. Instead of chasing definition, lead with direction. Keep things light but confident. Let her bring up the relationship talk when she's emotionally invested. That's how you flip the script. When you move like a man who has options, who's in no rush to define things, she'll feel that energy, and that's what keeps her interested. Don't ask, "What are we?" Let your presence make her ask herself, "Where do I stand with him?" That's the game. 2. Begging for her time. Kills desire. One of the most unattractive things a man can do is chase a woman like she's the last glass of water in a desert. When you start begging for her time, constantly asking when she's free, texting her multiple times, or trying to squeeze into her schedule, you immediately lower your value in her eyes. It screams desperation, and no woman is drawn to a man who seems like he has nothing going on without her. Here's what you need to understand. Women are attracted to men who have a life, a man who's busy, focused, and moving forward with or without her. When you make her the center of your universe, you're basically telling her, you're more important than my goals, my time, my purpose. That doesn't spark desire. It triggers boredom or even pity. The more you beg for her time, the less she respects yours. Think about it. If you're always available, always saying yes to whatever little window she offers, you stop being a challenge. You become predictable, easy, and easy doesn't keep her attention. Let's look at a situation. You've been talking to this girl for a bit and things seem good, but then she starts getting busy. Instead of backing off, you double down. You start texting things like, "When can I see you again?" Or "I miss you, are you free later?" She says she's not sure, so you say, "Even 10 minutes is fine, I just want to see you." What just happened? You made yourself small. You let her know that you'll take any scraps of her time. And just like that, her desire for you fades. Fast. You need to understand something powerful. Your time is your value. When you treat it like it's worthless, so will she. Instead of begging for her time, guard yours. If she wants to see you, she'll make it known. If she's vague or distant, match that energy and move forward. A man who respects his time doesn't chase. He invites. And if she's interested, she'll show up. Never beg. Never chase. Let her earn your time. That's how you flip the script. 3. Too much honesty, Farhan, zero mystery. Let's clear something up. Honesty is important, yes. But too much honesty? That's where most guys go wrong. There's a difference between being honest and being emotionally naked with no filter. And when you reveal everything too soon, you destroy the mystery that actually makes women feel excited around you. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I thought women like open communication and vulnerability? Sure, they do. But timing is everything. When you start confessing your life story, your fears, your past wounds, your deepest feelings, too early, it doesn't build connection. It creates emotional pressure. It makes you look like you're seeking therapy, not romance. Here's the truth. Women want to figure you out. They want to wonder what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're hiding. When you give it all away too quickly, you rob them of that emotional tension. The chase dies. The excitement dies. And once the mystery is gone, so is the attraction. Let me put it this way. Ever watch a movie where you already knew the ending? Boring, right? That's what happens when you emotionally overshare. You become predictable. No edge, no intrigue, no spark. Just a guy laying it all out with nothing left to discover. And here's what makes it worse. Most men overshare because deep down, they want to be liked. They think if they open up, the woman will appreciate their emotional side. But what actually happens? She feels like she's carrying emotional weight that you should be handling as a man. And that kills desire instantly. You don't need to lie. You don't need to fake anything. But you do need to keep a little distance. Be open, but stay grounded. Reveal slowly. Let her earn the deeper parts of you. Make her curious. Make her ask questions. Make her wonder, what's really going on in his head? Because that's the magic. It's not about being cold or playing games. It's about maintaining your masculine presence. A man who doesn't rush to explain himself. A man who doesn't need to spill his soul to get attention. That kind of man makes a woman lean in, not pull away. Remember, mystery isn't manipulation. It's magnetism. Use it wisely. 4. Telling her you're nothing without her. Let's get real. If you've ever looked a woman in the eyes and said, "I'm nothing without you," you've already lost her. This isn't romantic. It's not noble. It's not deep. It's emotional desperation dressed up as love. And it instantly turns you into the guy she can't respect. Because what you're really saying is, I have no identity, no purpose, and no value outside of this relationship. That's not attractive. That's weakness. Men need to wake up. We live in a world that tells you it's powerful to express everything, to throw yourself at her feet in the name of love. But let me ask you this. When has that ever truly worked? When has a woman ever said, wow, now that he's completely dependent on me emotionally, I want him more? Never. Because women don't want to be the center of your existence. They want to join a man who already has one. When you say, I'm nothing without you, you might think you're being vulnerable. But to her, it screams that you've given up on yourself, that your identity revolves around her attention, her validation, her presence. And the second she senses that, you're done. She might pity you. She might even stay out of guilt for a while. But her attraction? Gone. You were never supposed to make a woman your life. You were supposed to make a life that a woman wants to be part of. So here's the truth most guys need to hear. You are something, with or without her. And if you don't believe that, you're not ready to lead a relationship. You're still searching for someone to fix a hole inside you, when that's your job, that's your work, that's your mission. Love doesn't mean you lose yourself. Love doesn't mean you hand over your self-worth. Love doesn't mean you shrink to keep her close. The strongest men are the ones who know their value, with or without a woman. They choose her, not because they need her, but because they want her. There's a difference, and women feel it. So if you've ever made her your everything, it's time to stop. Start becoming something without her, so she never wants to imagine life without you. 5. Oversharing your feelings. Too soon. Here's a harsh truth. When you pour your heart out to a woman too early, you don't come off as sweet or genuine. You come off as emotionally immature. Too many men fall into this trap. You've just started talking to her, maybe had 1 or 2 dates, and suddenly you're telling her how much you like her, how different she is, how you haven't felt this way in years. Let's stop right there. You barely know her. She hasn't done anything yet to earn that level of access to your emotions. And when you rush in, you turn something that should build slowly into something that feels forced. And women pick up on that, fast. See, when you overshare your feelings too soon, it's usually not about her at all. It's about you wanting a shortcut to connection. You're trying to create emotional intensity instead of letting it happen naturally. But real attraction doesn't come from pressure. It comes from space, tension, curiosity, and time. And here's what most guys ignore. Women test for strength early on, not emotional exposure. When you start telling her how much she means to you after a few conversations, she doesn't feel special. She feels suspicious. Like you're placing all your emotional needs on her lap before she's even had time to decide if she wants to invest. You might think, but I'm just being real. No, you're being impatient. Realness isn't about dumping your feelings onto someone. It's about knowing when to open up and when to hold back. At the start of any connection, a woman is still trying to figure you out. If you remove all the mystery and make her the emotional center of your world too soon, you give her nothing to reach for. She already knows you're all in. Where's the thrill in that? Listen, emotions are not the enemy, but they have to be revealed with wisdom. If you show your hand too early, there's no game left to play. And no woman wants a man who rushes into love like a kid chasing candy. Pull back, slow down, let her wonder. Let her earn those deeper layers of you. Because when a woman feels like she has to unlock your heart, not have it thrown at her, she becomes invested. And that's when real desire begins. 6. Over-complimenting her appearance. Listen up, guys. Compliments are great when they're earned. But when you lay it on thick every time you see her, you're making a big mistake. Telling a woman how beautiful she is every single time you talk to her doesn't make her feel special. It makes her feel taken for granted. Think about it. When you compliment her too much, it starts to lose its meaning. It becomes automatic, predictable, and honestly, a little insincere. You're no longer seeing her as a complex person with depth. You're just focused on what's on the surface. And women know this. They know when you're only admiring their looks, and that quickly gets boring. Now, I know you want to make her feel good, but here's the thing. Compliments, based purely on appearance, put all the power in her hands. You're basically telling her that her worth is based on how she looks. That's not confidence. That's insecurity. A man who knows his value doesn't need to shower her with praise just to get her attention. And here's where most guys miss the mark. Overcomplimenting is often used as a way to get her to like you. You think that if you tell her she's pretty enough times, eventually she'll be drawn to you. But what you're really doing is creating a power imbalance. You're making her feel like she has the upper hand. And the more you put her on a pedestal, the less she'll value you. What really builds attraction is admiration for who she is, not just what she looks like. Compliment her mind, her humor, her work ethic. Acknowledge her personality, her kindness, her strength. Those are the qualities that keep you interesting. When you show you value her for who she is, you start building a deeper connection that's rooted in respect, not just physical attraction. Stop playing the compliment game. When you give compliments, make them count. And more importantly, compliment her actions, her character, and her energy, because it's her inner qualities that will keep you on her mind, not just her appearance. A man who only focuses on a woman's looks is a man who hasn't figured out what real attraction is. Compliment her the right way, and you'll be the one she's thinking about, because you'll stand out from every other guy who only sees her for what's on the outside. 7. Always trying to impress her. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Trying to impress a woman all the time is a surefire way to make her lose interest. It's natural for men to want to show their best side, but when you're constantly trying to prove yourself, you're actually telling her that you don't believe in your own value. And that's incredibly unattractive. Men often make the mistake of thinking they need to show off their achievements, flex their muscles, or throw money around to get a woman's attention. And while it might seem to work temporarily, it's a dangerous trap. Women don't want to feel like they're being sold a fantasy, or that they have to keep up with some exaggerated version of who you are. What you need to realize is this: authenticity is what keeps her interested, not a performance. Women want to know who you really are, not some version of yourself you've crafted to get validation. And when you're always trying to impress her, it means you're not comfortable in your own skin. You're trying too hard to make her like you, instead of letting her get to know you. The problem with trying to impress is that it's rooted in insecurity. You don't need to impress anyone if you already know your worth. But when you feel like you're not enough on your own, you start seeking external validation. You show off, hoping that she'll notice, appreciate, and eventually fall for you. But all that does is push her further away. Let me tell you something. Women are drawn to men who don't need to try. It's not about how much money you make, how fancy your car is, or how many people admire you. It's about being grounded, confident, and comfortable with yourself. When you're confident in who you are, you don't need to impress anyone. You attract them naturally. Instead of always trying to impress her, focus on building a life that impresses you. Be busy, be independent, have goals, hobbies, and a purpose that doesn't revolve around her. That's the kind of energy that will keep her coming back. Stop seeking approval. Stop performing. Start being. And watch how much more magnetic you become. Because the more you focus on impressing yourself, the less you'll feel the need to impress her. And that's when she'll truly start to respect you. 8. Acting like you're too busy for her. Here's the thing. Acting like you're too busy for a woman might sound like a strategy to get her to chase you, but let me tell you, it rarely works in the way you think it will. All it does is make you look like you're not genuinely interested, and that's a huge turnoff. We've all heard it before. Play hard to get. Be mysterious. Act like you're too busy to text her back. Some guys think if they keep her waiting for their attention, she'll suddenly become obsessed with them. But let's be real. If you act like you're too busy for her, she's going to start thinking you're too busy for anyone. And that's not how attraction works. Here's the truth. Women don't want to feel like they're just a side option. When you're constantly too busy to give her any time or attention, she'll feel like she's not a priority. And guess what happens when she doesn't feel like a priority? She starts looking elsewhere for someone who does make her feel important. You see, being busy isn't the problem. Everyone has their own lives to live, and that's perfectly fine. The issue comes when you use your busyness as an excuse to push her away. It's not about the actual work or commitments you have, it's about the message you're sending. If you don't show genuine interest in her, she'll eventually lose interest in you. Now I get it. Sometimes we all need space and time to focus on our own things, and that's perfectly healthy. But the key is balance. You don't need to drop everything and become available at her beck and call, but you do need to show that you value her enough to make time for her. If you're really interested in someone, you find ways to fit them into your schedule, without making it feel like they're an afterthought. If you're always too busy, you become the guy who can't commit. You'll come off as flaky or disengaged. Women respect men who are busy, sure, but they respect men who are intentional with their time even more, and that includes giving them time when they deserve it. So, instead of acting like you're too busy, focus on being someone who's busy and makes room for the people who matter. Because when you show her that you genuinely want her in your life, without playing games or making her wait, you'll be the one she's eager to chase. 9. Desperately trying to keep the conversation going. Nothing kills attraction faster than desperation, and yet, many guys fall into this trap when they're talking to a woman. You know the feeling. She sends a text or gives you a short response, and suddenly you feel the need to keep the conversation going at all costs. You end up sending multiple texts, trying to come up with new topics, asking her questions that feel forced, all to avoid silence or the fear of her losing interest. But here's the thing. Desperation is a huge turnoff. Women can sense it, and it's not attractive. When you're desperately trying to keep the conversation going, you're sending a message that you need her validation. You're coming across as insecure, and that's the last thing you want. Instead of letting the conversation flow naturally, you're trying to force it. And trust me, it never works out well. Think about it for a second. How would you feel if someone was constantly trying to keep a conversation going when you weren't really interested in talking? Annoyed, right? That's exactly how she feels when you keep texting her over and over, even if the conversation has run its course. Women are naturally attracted to men who can let things breathe. They like men who are secure enough in themselves to not need constant communication. When you're desperate to keep the conversation going, you're essentially saying, I need you to validate my worth by continuing this chat. And that's draining. The truth is, attraction grows when there's a bit of space between interactions. A woman doesn't want to feel smothered or like she has to carry the conversation. The moments when you're not texting her constantly, that's when she'll start to think about you more. That's when she'll miss you. So what should you do instead? Stop forcing it. Let the conversation end naturally. If she responds with a short message, don't jump in with another question or comment just to keep it alive. Leave it. Let her come to you. Remember, men who are secure and confident know that silence doesn't mean the end of the connection. It just means it's time to let things unfold. Let her miss you a little. When you stop desperately trying to keep the conversation going, you'll notice she starts pursuing you more. 10. Overthinking and overanalyzing. Every interaction. Listen, this one is a game changer. Overthinking and overanalyzing every interaction you have with a woman is one of the quickest ways to kill attraction. And yet, many guys get caught up in this trap. You dissect every word she says, every gesture, every look she gives you. You spend hours replaying the conversation in your head, trying to figure out what it really means. But here's the brutal truth. Overthinking is the enemy of attraction. When you constantly try to read into everything, you're not actually paying attention to her. You're paying attention to your own insecurities. You're letting your fear of rejection, your desire for validation, and your own self-doubt control your actions. The problem is that when you're overthinking, you lose your sense of calm and confidence. You become reactive instead of proactive. You start second-guessing yourself, worrying about what she's thinking and trying to figure out if you said the wrong thing. That anxiety, it shows, and it makes you appear weak. Women want a man who is secure, who doesn't need to overanalyze every word or look. When you're constantly wondering if you're saying the right thing or if she's losing interest, You're putting unnecessary pressure on yourself and the interaction. And women can feel that pressure. They can sense when you're uncomfortable in your own skin. Overthinking makes you seem unsure of yourself, and that's a huge turn-off. It shows that you lack self-confidence, and that you're not comfortable just being yourself. Women are drawn to men who can be present in the moment without second-guessing every move they make. The less you analyze, the more natural and relaxed you come across. If you want to stand out, stop overthinking. When you talk to her, just enjoy the moment. If the conversation goes well, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. Don't dwell on what could have been or what you should have said. Learn from it, but don't let it control you. The secret to keeping her interested is simple. Be confident enough to just be yourself and let things unfold naturally. Stop overanalyzing and overthinking every interaction. Because when you do, you stop enjoying the connection. And that's when things really start to fall apart. Here's the hard truth that most men don't want to hear. The more you try to control how a woman feels about you, the more you lose control. These games, these manipulations, it's all a massive waste of time. Women can sense when you're trying too hard, and guess what? They don't respect it. If you want to keep her interested, stop treating her like some puzzle you need to solve. The truth is, if you want a woman to genuinely want you, you have to stop trying to make her want you. Let that sink in for a second. Stop playing the game and start being the man who's comfortable enough to let things unfold naturally. When you stop trying to control the outcome, that's when you'll see the real magic happen. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me about your experiences. Have you tried any of these mistakes before? Did you notice a difference when you stopped doing them? I'll be personally reaching out to create a connection with you. You're not alone in this journey, and I want to hear how you're improving. Let's connect, learn, and grow together. Keep this in mind. The path to true attraction isn't about playing games. It's about being the best version of yourself.